Hello everybody, welcome to Feldy. We are coming up on the last little bit of harvesting our feed stuff here. Better get the boom up there. We got just one more pass. I did make a few bales in this field, but not really very many. I did just enough to kind of fill up the unit that already had some grass bales in it and some other red clover bales kind of from the northwest fields in the map. But I did just enough to fill it and use coarse play to send it kind of on down to sell it and get rid of it. It gave us a little cash, but at the end of the day I opted to come back in here, and most of this I have just picked up using the procedure you're seeing right now on the screen. And I have a fair bit more to do. I've hauled some up to our sheep. Can't really, the sheep won't do anything with it because there's no water in the trough. They need water in order to make wool. You know, it's very much a factory. You won't lose any sheep up there for lack of feeding them, but you're not going to get anything by which to profit either. Oops, wrong one. So I think we have just a little bit more here to finish this off. As you can see, there's a little dab over there. There's a dab straight ahead. So I'll pick just the last little bits, and oh, I keep hitting the wrong one. And then I was thinking about this field, and I was thinking about some updates I made to the mod for picking up these windrows, or harvesting windrows rather. I don't know that Farm Sim 11 had the ability to change how much material you picked up by fertilizer. And so I put something in there for the harvest to detect the presence of fertilization, but the trouble is we don't have any means on a non-field. You know, as you look down here, there's no cultivation, there's no layer for fertilization or anything like that. So what I was thinking I may do is take the field out. We could drag in the cultivator and rip it up and replant it and see what that does. I'm really kind of curious. I mean, really, in order to test the things that I put into the mod, we kind of need to see if it actually works. And the only way that's going to happen is if, you know, I suppose it would happen on peas, because that also was a type of windrow, but the trouble with the peas is the time when I had it in the ground for harvest, you know, we didn't have any fertilizer to put on it. So I suppose we could test it there, but I think I want to roll the dice and just rip it up. This one here ultimately may need to come out too and be replanted. Obviously I want to get the crop off of it first. And so I think as soon as I get another full trailer load, which I'm going to take down to the feed mill, I think I'm going to go looking for the cultivator, and we're going to start ripping the field up. And I thought also I'd like to tinker with the course play mod a little bit. I'm starting to see that there's more to it than initially I had thought, at least in the Farm Sim 11 version. I know it has loads of features, you know, in later versions, but I didn't realize Farm Sim 11's version of it had that it was as robust of a mod as what it truly is. So I want to try something maybe with the oh, where did I do that? I want to try something maybe with the windrower, maybe in this grass field, over to the, oh, I guess it'd be the south and eastern portion of the map, and maybe cut some of that grass and use... I keep pressing the wrong one. I am so used to later versions where the B key was what turned equipment on and off. I'm sensing a few more curves here in the field than what we had at the other ones, so it's going to be slopping out the back of, or off the side rather, of our wagon here if I'm not too careful. Oh, that bugs me. That just bugs me. I need the thing to point to the trailer, and it's like that part of it is just broken. But like I mentioned in an earlier video, I'm pretty sure I've copied everything. The very setup on the unit is identical to what I've seen on the Giants one, and it appears even parts were copied straight off of the Giants forage harvester, so it's a little perplexing to get it to behave the way we'd like it to. This field also ultimately, probably needs to be tore up and replanted as well if we want to have the opportunity for fertilizer to impact the yield. And this one here, being the same crop as in the other field, was in the same boat. And I still wonder if I should have left it to grow a little bit longer. It could be the red distance texture, which only comes out when it's full harvestable state. It could be that it just wasn't quite there. I mean, it could be my imagination, but it sure seems like I'm not getting as much this go around as I did last time. But maybe it's just my imagination. Alright, we now have our full trailer. I'm going to come back here, drop the trailer, bring this forward and park it. We're going to go pick up our tractor. Got to send it clear out to the hinterlands. And like I said, we're going to take this to the feed mixer mill and turn it into, I think this one will go into beef, the beef food. Well, it won't mix any of it up until we bring a biofuel. We already have some pig food, we just need to be able to afford the monstrous cost of the mixer that we use to haul it over to the troughs. I say mixer. It's one of those mobile feed. It'd be a mixer in real life, but I think in here we may just end up using it sort of as a trailer. Last time I turned this entire field into bales. This time I'm trying to be cognizant of the fact that we want to have some livestock. So this is being turned into cattle feed. And as a result, it requires more work in the field, at least with some of this back and forth. And it's a full trailer, and I am just eating the fuel like crazy. So probably when I get down there, I'll drop the trailer somewhere. Maybe I'll just leave it over by where the cultivator is. Then when I bring the cultivator home, actually, did I leave the cultivator? Oh my goodness, I think I took that clear down south, so someday I'll be so rich I'll have 4 cultivators and I'll just leave them parked around the map and just not need to drag it from one end to the other. Alright, we're over here at the mixer. I said I would do the beef side, so we're going to put it here in the near one. Unique sound. I don't think I've ever heard a tractor make that noise backing up. Neither in real life nor in any other mod, but definitely unique to these Raba tractors. Okay. You know, I'll just pull this into the pasture over here and drop it. I'm going to peel a cookie and we are going to go get the cultivator and get some gas kind of along the way. And because this is going to be a long trip, I'll just do a jump cut here and meet you when I get back up here. Talk to you soon. Well, here we are, heading up here with the cultivator. We went clear down to the other end of the map, got it, brought it up here. It's a lot of farming the road, as they say. But I think we'll be happy with the result, and I want to get in here and do some work on this field before heavy regrowth comes along. It doesn't appear like we have anything regrowing, so we are going to give this a go. Sorry, all this jittering around. And maybe starting about here. I gotta try to remember about where it appeared. And this is where I really wish I had GPS. It would help. If I think I need to turn off field detection. And I think that means if I say, yep, it's gonna turn it to dirt. Let me just take a little jaunt forward and see if I can make my way around the field. Now, is this going to cut me off? You know what? Everybody hold your nose. This is taking out some of the grass, but I'm going to lift it up. I want to try to make it as straight as I can. There, I think that's somewhat straight. Who knows if it's just... Oh. Yeah, if I extrapolate that clear to the other end, it may not be where I want it to go. But if I do this right, which is always a ticklish thing to see if I can do that, I don't know if I can totally get it straight here. Yeah, push, push, push. Alright, let me put that down. It's kind of at an angle, I see. I'm gonna just head off. Yeah, I'm already off just slightly. I'll try to take it here by the edge of the grass, and that way I'll know that I've captured or taken out all of the red clover. Because if I don't, you know, volunteer will come up kind of by the edge of the field. And since I'm going to be replanting this as red clover, I mean, it's not the worst thing if that happens. I guess it's just more my pride in wanting to make sure it gets fully taken out. And it's interesting, some of the texture we're taking out here, you wonder if Farmer Yip changed his mind. You know, he originally maybe had it in a field, perhaps, and then changed it to something else. Actually, I don't even know if I'm in the original field. It could be, well, we'll find out as we plant this and put it in. I'm pretty sure I'm at least near the edge of the field, the old edge where it was, so I should be okay. We'll come up along this gravel because it appears he has a gravel road kind of in here, and maybe we can speed this up. Oh, I don't like going that fast. At least not on the outer edge where we're trying to be careful and ensure we get a decent field edge, so we'll kind of come around this green area, which is where I think it was planted previously. Has anybody ever used this mod, by the way? This one that allows, basically allows a cultivator to function as a plow. You know, where you can, as if I open my menu again here, you can, you can't see it, it doesn't report properly the key that it is used, but I hit the slash button or the divide button on my keypad, and that turns field detection on and off, and it allows the cultivator, any cultivator I believe, to basically function like a plow. Now here, yeah, it's a little bit mixed up with what we just did. You know, I look at that and I wonder, is that really how Farmer Yip made it? I'm not sure that it is. I may try to do a little editing in the map to flatten that out. You know, I did any number of messing around in here, fixes and things, you know, that I did, but for all I know, I goobered something up and accidentally raised some ground when I really was intending to lower it or flatten it. I'm trying to make this as straight as I can along here. I think I'm taking out everything I need to take out. And then we'll have 3 sides done and 1 more side to do. Yeah, I really appreciate having a compass. That helps me keep somewhat square with the world. We stop right there. Then we'll try to sneak on. I got a little into the grass right here. Just back this peep up. 270. Can I get down there on a 270 heading? We're gonna give it a try. Sometimes I've wondered if it's enough just to watch the pixels, you know, to see kind of where it puts down. Yeah, see, I'm already off just slightly. It'll be good enough. It'll be good enough. I want this to come down and meet up with what I put in on the far end. And yeah, so I was kind of curious, when you're trying to make a straight line, is it better to watch the pixels, to watch your... Yeah, see, I can't watch my cultivator. Like I say, this is where a tool like GPS would be so helpful. And truth be told, I don't know that it matters if it's perfectly straight. It'll figure it out. It'll be straight enough. I suppose if I really wanted to make it straight, I could pull it into the editor and try to true things up there. But this will be good enough. I am wondering if I should take out the gravel. Always interesting how field entrances are set up on farms. I know a local farmer here where I live has some gravel, a gravel road essentially that goes right in the opening of the field and into it a little bit. It's a sod farm, so I think they like having some solid ground where their heavy trucks come in. Boom, let me stop right there, slightly forward. I think that lines pretty well up. I'm going to raise here, and we'll leave the gravel entry in there, if you will. I'm going to come over here and try to pin this in. Good enough for government work. Alright, the rest of this now, I'm pretty sure I can do at a higher speed. I don't know how fast we'd be going in real life, but now that I have the boundary established, I can take the rest of this out, I think, and be a little quicker on the movement. Like I say, we're going 25 miles an hour. There's machines that can't even go this fast in road gear on the road, let alone pull a cultivator in the field at this particular speed. The more I think about it, the more I'm looking forward to trying this out and getting this reduced to dirt and replanting. Same old thing that was in it, but this time we'll have the ability to fertilize it. And maybe the first harvest, depending on where it lands, you know, in conjunction with all the other harvesting activity that we're going to be doing in here that'll be starting up before too long. You know, like at ahead is some barley, obviously isn't quite ready yet. Maybe we won't have biofuel in time, so we may not have fertilizer either. So I may have another harvest in this that'll be similar to the one that I just pulled off, where there's no fertilization. But definitely at some point in the future, we're going to see whether these tweaks that I've made, you know, have any difference to or picking up a windrow, or cutting a windrow rather, will be impacted by fertilizer. See, some of this is straight as an arrow. Actually, it's pretty straight altogether. Not bad at all. Don't look too closely at my second round here. I have a feeling that that's going to be way off. I wish I could hire this. And maybe there's a way with course play I could set up and do it. And actually that makes me think of something else that that I wanted to try, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just stick with putting this to dirt and being done with that part. Even in real life, I think it's somewhat common in, depending on what region of the world you're at. I know there's a lot of folks who do no-till, and there are areas where that works quite effectively. But then there's other areas where you have to continue tilling the soil the old school way, ripping it up, and sometimes with a crop, you know, like this here, you know, maybe it's compaction, maybe it's any number of things where the farmer will rip it up and just start over. I know my father, he doesn't have any regular crops. He has cattle, so he has a number of pastures, and every few years he will occasionally rip out a pasture, till it up, and reseed it. I think it gives opportunity. I think there was a little green bed. I see one. Yes, I do. I think it gives opportunity maybe to kill some weeds or some plants that maybe you'd rather not have, but would also rather maybe not put down chemical to take out, lest it take out other things that you do want to keep. And so maybe the only way to try to keep some of those under control is to dig out the disc, cultivator, whatever, and go redo it. I think I've mentioned a time or two, I worked on Lone Oak Farms in my growing up years, and they're a grass seed farm, you know, and grass is obviously a perennial crop. You cut it and it's going to regrow over and over as many times as you want, rinse and repeat. But they, depending on the variety, would tear the fields out after a certain number of years and would start over. And there's something about the first crop, the first year's crop, always seemed to have the highest yield. And then in later years, you know, it got disease in it or other corruption in the ground or whatever. It was just best to rip it up and start over so you can get back to better yields. And actually, I've noticed even some of the grass seed farmers, I mean, one right outside of the home where I live is also doing this. And it seems extremely costly to do it, especially in this day and age of, you know, the extra high input costs with the war in Ukraine and everything. But they are now, instead of letting the grass grow, and this is perennial, this isn't annual grass, or are annual grasses, but this is perennial, they are still doing a harvest and ripping it out and immediately replanting it. And it must be that the economics of it makes sense, you know, for them to do that. I would think the cost of fuel and all that, labor to do it too, with the machines and everything, would put a dent kind of in their profits, but it must be worth it for them to do it. Yeah, so I'm also wondering, you know, I was thinking I would just replant this straight into red clover, but I don't know, maybe I should put something else in it for the moment and get a crop rotation going. I mean, that's another reason a lot of times you'll see farmers ripping soil, is just flat out to have a rotation. And one crop puts some nutrients in while another removes it, and sometimes ripping it up and tilling it's about the only way you can deal with it. Whenever I cough in these things, I press this button on my microphone to turn the thing off so you all don't have to hear it. Try to catch it in editing. But this silly thing doesn't always listen to me when I push the button. There's been a couple of times, I think even on one of these, I had to do some later voiceover because I pressed the button, but it didn't register to come off of mute. Just like we love having to redo our farming if the game crashes in the middle of, oh, speaking of that, hey, let me save. Get into good habits here. Just like we don't like it when we lose the things that we've already done. I can assure you it doesn't feel good when the same thing happens when you're recording a video. So as soon as I get this done here, like I say, I don't have any fertilizer, but I can at least go get the seeder and drag that up here and boot heel it into the ground. Maybe we'll be lucky and get a rain here at some point to kind of water it in, as they say. Not that that makes any difference. The only mod I ever saw where rainfall seemed to make a difference, as I recall, was the, well, I guess the Seasons mod incorporated it too, but I was thinking of the good old soil mod. I think that was, there was a modder named of Decker, made it in Farm Sim 13, carried it over to 15, and I think it was just the 2 versions, and then he let it go. But I think rainfall impacted the crop and the moisture that it had and the moisture that was in the ground, whether you could get out and work the field. But in the Seasons mod for moisture, I know they had something, yeah, ground moisture maybe, or maybe it was at Harvest too. They made you, like I think in the base game, when it's done raining, I think there's a period maybe of 20 minutes as the rain fades away and you can continue combining. You would never do that in real life unless it was just a tiny fuzz of rain that came. You know, a lot of times that's going to kill your whole day and then some, depending on how much rain fell. But in the game, I mean, 20 minutes and you were back out harvesting away as if it had never rained at all. And I think the Seasons mod added some functionality to, I think it was some calculations even based on real world stuff as to how long it would take, depending on how much rain you had received, how long it would take for it to dry out again. I remember in one other game that I had, I think this was Farm Sim 17, where this was happening. Or no, excuse me, 19. I got a healthy dose of rain during harvest, and then I waited and waited and waited, and it wouldn't let me go out and combine. And I was running out of time into the fall, and I ended up losing a substantial portion of a field to winter because of moisture. I don't know how realistic that is. You know, maybe there are, I like things kind of like that where you do have some chance that you take, you know, when you put a crop in the ground that you may not be able to harvest it. So one reason I made a mod for Farm Sim 17 that was for crop damage for hail. You know, we don't get a ton of hail where I live here, but I know in the Midwest, I mean, there's been many crops destroyed over the years and decades by hail. Sometimes entirely, sometimes partially, and it's especially devastating, of course, you know, when it would come during harvest and just flatten the crop. So I created an annoying mod that kind of would have the similar effect as hail in the game, and it takes out the crop and you cannot harvest it. It basically takes crop, I think if it's freshly planted, it'll leave it alone. But even green crop, tender shoots or whatever, those can also be damaged by hail, and so anything that's above the planted layer, if you will, would get pounded by the hail, and it would turn into the harvested texture as if it had been harvested, when of course it hadn't. So anyway, I like having those little extra features in the game, and unfortunately I don't think we have one of those in here, but that's alright. Who cares anyways? We are reducing this to dirt, and we're going to be replanting red clover soon. So thank you all for coming along for the ride and enjoying Feldy along with me. I will let you go until we get to the next one. Goodbye for now.